Well,
Yeah, Bob.
we're going to do something we haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
We're going to just talk. But I want to talk about Yooka-Laylee.
So let's start with Yooka-Laylee.
That got funded.
It did. It got funded in record time.
I think 45 minutes.
Something like that. And it's like the third most successful Kickstarter or third fastest to 1 million Kickstarter, something like that.
Yeah.
It's really, it's really amazing, especially like...
They're at a couple million right now.
Yeah, I mean, what's really cool is like, because you don't really talk about like that generation, like the 64-bit generation, the same way we do about the 8-bit or the 16-bit generation.
I heard some interesting things.
Yeah.
Saying how like we saw a lot of nostalgia games.
Yeah.
For the 8-bit and 16-bit games.
Yeah.
Mostly 8-bit, like Shovel Knight.
Yeah.
Can't think of anything else.
Well,
Mighty Number 9.
And now Igarashi's new game, Bloodstained,
Yes.
which similar success story.
Yes,
definitely.
like they did an insane amount.
So,
But now this Yooka-Laylee
yeah,
is it's nostalgic for the 64-bit era, which is something that I haven't seen yet.
because like it took like 20 years, I guess, for 8-bit to be nostalgic, and then another 5 years for 16-bit to be nostalgic, and now we've jumped completely to 64-bit.
They're waiting for the people who would be nostalgic for it to have their own money and be able to buy their own games.
Which I guess would be us.
Yeah, and
So.
even now,
Yeah.
people, I mean, we did grow up with 64-bit
Yeah.
games. However, 64-bit is my least favorite console generation.
Ooh.
Because they didn't know what they were doing at that time with 3D.
They didn't.
And there's a lot of ugly games.
Yeah, I mean, it aged probably the worst of all the console generations. I would not go as far to say as that is my least favorite.
What would you say?
I don't know. Currently, this one. I'm trying real hard, and like there are some good games out there, but like I just right now, like I'm not seeing anything.
You know why?
Why?
You gotta play more indie stuff.
I'm playing as much indie stuff as I can. It's just
because all of the good stuff right now isn't the AAA stuff.
I know that,
And, and the general public will start realizing that very soon.
Yeah,
This is proof.
Yeah.
Yooka-Laylee.
But it's harkening back to the 64-bit era. I mean, I guess I can't badmouth the 64-bit era because like a lot of my favorite games came from that era.
None of my favorite, I don't think any of my favorite games came from that era. Yeah.
Not any of the.
I mean, Resident Evil 2.
Right.
But that would be 32-bit.
32 64-bit was the same time.
Yeah.
So.
But Resident Evil 2 is like amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think it would hold up.
I mean, probably doesn't hold up. Actually, no, that holds up a little bit better than a lot of other games in that era, because that was done back when Capcom gave a shit and put a lot of time and effort and care into their games.
Yeah, but then you look at like the 8-bit and 16-bit era. You got.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
You got like tons of games.
That
I would put in my top.
A lot more games in the 8 and 16-bit era hold up a lot more than they do in the 64 or 32-bit era. Because I'll tell you right now, games we used to love back then, like Shadows of the Empire, like Mission Impossible. Yeah. No, like unplayable.
Shadows of the Empire is one of my favorite games of that period. Completely unplayable now.
Yeah.
Mario 64. The Game Grumps are playing through it. And it looks like it controls a little weird.
Yeah.
But it's still fine because it's Mario and they know how to do their controls. It is an ugly game. Yeah, it is really, really ugly.
That's I think the biggest problem with it is like those graphics really haven't aged well.
They didn't know what to do,
especially PlayStation graphics.
Yeah,
like, those look
terrible.
Awful. Aside from that, the game is still fun.
No, yeah, definitely.
So
that is one of the best games to come out of that generation.
Yeah,
but not one of my favorite. That might be one of the worst popular Mario games.
No, I strongly disagree with you.
What?
Sunshine.
No, definitely.
And
not.
I love Sunshine.
Mario 64 definitely is not better than Sunshine.
No, it is.
I mean, I like Mario 64. I like getting all the stars.
Yeah.
I like the hub world. Everything about that's great.
I guess you can,
but it does not control better.
I guess you can argue that like Sunshine controls better, But
It
I mean,
looks better.
Of course it looks better. But in terms of like level design and gameplay ideas and things like that, like Mario 64 still holds up better than Sunshine does.
I don't know
Sunshine, you know, aside from the water pack, which we really don't need in a Mario game, it's not that different from Mario 64. So why play a different game?
Because it's a lot better. I wouldn't say the level design is that much better.
I would. It's smaller, but it's more focused.
Well, what other 64-bit games would you say are worth their weight?
Definitely GoldenEye and Perfect Dark.
I don't think... Oh, Perfect Dark, yes. GoldenEye...
You watch what you say next.
I go back to GoldenEye and it's tough.
It's
real tough.
It's falling off a bike for me. I mean,
Yeah.
really, I get back into it. I need a few seconds, and I'm like, okay, this is how it is. This game works still.
I don't know.
It holds up better than
great.
any other first-person shooter from that era.
I don't think the 64-bit era holds up. The whole generation. I don't think
No,
the whole generation holds up anymore.
No, because there's so many other.
Crash Bandicoot does.
No.
Yes.
No, it doesn't. Crash Bandicoot does not.
It does, and the reason it does is because it's not really
it's just
entirely
it's just
3D.
a straight line.
Yeah.
You're just walking straight forward.
Yeah. Or
like,
side scrolling.
That doesn't, you can't compare. Those are two completely different
But that's
things.
why it holds up, because it's like
it's simpler.
It's simpler and it's closer to 16-bit. Because they didn't innovate too much. A lot of these 64-bit games, they tried to innovate too much and they didn't know what they were doing.
No, it's because they all thought they were, let's just copy Mario 64 and run with it. And that's the problem. They don't have.
Yeah, but Mario 64 didn't know what it was doing either.
Yes, they had to.
It did an amazing job.
They knew what they were doing better than everybody else did.
It did an amazing job for the time.
You know?
But I mean, there's so much. It learned so much. Like the camera is god awful.
No, I disagree. That honestly handled the camera better than everyone else. Still not
at the time.
Yeah, at the time. Today, now that we have two analog sticks, of course it doesn't handle it as good. But at the time, every other game struggled.
Peace Walker on my PS Vita. I hate the camera. It is awful because you got to use the buttons, kind of like a C stick. The C buttons.
No, that's different. That. By that point, they had no excuse. They had no excuse for.
I mean, Peace Walker's great on PSP, but now I'm playing it on Vita and I want to kill myself.
Let's just look at what else came out. 1080 Snowboarding. That's a great game.
Awesome.
Rogue Squadron. Battlefield.
I don't think 1080 would hold up.
It's
Rogue Squadron, yes.
1080 is simple. It's simple as hell. But that's part of the best. That's like the best part of it. It's like comparing Tony Hawk, the first 3 Tony Hawk games to like the later Tony Hawk games.
Rogue Squadron, definitely one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
Would rather play the GameCube version.
No, I would not.
Yes,
I would not rather play the GameCube
definitely
version.
would.
There's a greater lack of focus in the GameCube version. The 64 version, is much more tighter, much more focused. You had a clearer sense of where you had to go, what you had to do.
It's gotta feel good.
And it still does feel good.
It does not feel
it
good.
It does.
No, you got to go back and play some 64
I will go back
games.
and play so many 64 games.
You know what's the worst? Super Smash Brothers on Nintendo 64 is the absolute worst, especially now that we're playing the Wii U version.
You know what I think part of the problem is?
What?
The analog stick itself.
Yeah. Yes.
But you can replace those. You can buy because those things wear out over time, as opposed to DualShock analog sticks and like GameCube analog sticks.
A big problem with
so you can just replace them, and those should help.
I want to do that because I'm very curious, because a big problem with it is it's really loose.
Yeah.
It has a really wide, I don't know what you'd call it, like a certain diameter. It's really loose.
Yeah.
And then when you go too far, it's really stiff.
And also too, here I'll just. If you look on a DualShock, the analog stick, like you got that little under part right here, and it goes all the way around. The 64 doesn't have that. It's just a stick and a hole.
Super tiny.
Yeah.
Super tiny.
So that, I think, also...
And you can go really far to the sides.
Yeah, but you don't need that. So, I mean, I do think that part of the problem with those games is the controller. Mm-hmm. But...
And a lot of those games are laggy.
Yeah.
Like, really laggy.
Yeah. Well, we got the expansion pack for it, so it's less laggy.
Oh, that might be why.
You think?
Because at work we have Super Smash Bros. For the
Yeah.
N64, and it's laggy as hell.
And doesn't have the
It's the
expansion.
laggiest thing. It might not have the expansion pack.
I could do it because I know that helps out a lot in games.
But I've never played Banjo-Kazooie. Might have played it for like a little bit.
The closest I've ever played the Banjo-Kazooie was Conker.
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
And I love that
Conker's
game.
Bad Fur Day was amazing.
Yeah. But I'd be willing to give Yooka-Laylee a shot. Especially if this means, and I tweeted about this, if this is successful, maybe the same team, since it's all ex-Rare people, will now do a Rare-style first-person shooter like GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and bring that back.
I wonder who has the Perfect Dark license. Oh, Microsoft does.
Yeah, and the Perfect Dark game they put out on their own was garbage.
We have it.
I know. I refuse to play it. I hate that game.
Oh, we also have the remake.
The remake.
Remastered.
The remake is really good.
What do you guys think about Yooka-Laylee and 64-bit games?
64, 32-bit games. I know we talk mostly about the N64, but that's because we owned that growing up. We didn't own a PlayStation. But tell us about your opinions on that era down below or anywhere on the internet.
My favorite console generation? Xbox 360 era.
It's a tie.
And 16-bit. It's like a...
I'm like a tie between the Xbox 360 era and the PS2 era.
I thought you were gonna have an issue with me saying Xbox 360.
No,
it's too new. People got to be like, no, but come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, as much as
growing up was so much better than living right now.
No, it's not. I mean, as much as I love 16 8-bit games and 64-bit games, there was like a creative peak with the PS2 era. And then there's just like a technical peak with the 360 era.
Yeah, they had all of the technology they needed, and they already knew what they were doing.
Yeah, like original Xbox was they found the formula, and then 360 was just refinement. That's what it was.
In today's generation, we're looking for them to make that hook.
Yeah.
So one game will come out, and they'll be like, "We got this now."
Yeah.
And all the other games will be like, "That's what defines
so
this
far,
generation."
Haven't seen it, so you're failing me, video games.
You know what it is? Sharing what you're doing.
I don't want to. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time.
Anyway, leave in the comments below. Here's the social media stuff. We stream every single Wednesday on Twitch.
It's 10 o'clock
It's over here
Eastern
somewhere.
Standard Time.
You got both of our Twitters.
Yeah. And
because we have a Wulff Den one now.
Yeah, so check all that out.
And t-shirts!
Yeah, buy stuff.
They're on sale this week and weekend.
Yeah.
So, and we get money if you do that, so please do that.
Please give us money.
Thank you guys very much.
Have a good week. This show is clearly aimed at adults, but aside from the violence, it's pretty tame for an MA-rated show. It's almost as if they're being cautious that kids might be watching this, but should they be cautious?
In some countries, their software sold over 150% of what it did last year. But what does that mean? How much software did they sell last year? Not a lot. So 150% of last year could still be not a lot.